everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 15 Plus and compare it against the iPhone 15 Pro Max and see which particular phone is a better one for you. Now, the thing I can definitely tell you about both these phones is that they're both very good devices. They're both still very much worth buying. And if you're about to go through and pick up a device, it does make a lot of sense to go ahead and buy a device that's still supported, that's going to give you a lot of capability and all that stuff. And, I will tell you in my personal opinion, the 15 Pro Max is definitely the better device here, but I think the 15 Plus is still decent as well. So we'll take a look at it throughout this whole entire video. First things first though, if you do want to go ahead and pick up some phones that I would recommend buying this year, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of these particular phones. The iPhone 15 Plus, which came out back in 2023, on the front side of this particular phone is giving you a 6.7-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. So this type of panel for the most part is still giving you like a really good type of experience, for the most part. There's still a lot of things to love about this type of phone. And if you're about to go through and pick up a device, I do think for the most part, Apple did a good job with this particular device panel. Now, is it perfect? Probably not. Like, I would imagine that Apple probably could have done a little bit of a better job when it kind of came down to it, but I don't really think it's that big of a deal. And you're still getting like a pretty good type of layout when it kind of comes down to it from that side. So, it's 60 Hertz, so nothing super crazy going on here. But like I said, it does kind of get the job done. And, it gets 2000 nits of brightness. It's an OLED display. So, there's not anything super crazy going on here, but it gets the job done. With something like the iPhone 15 Pro Max though, this is going to be overall a better type of panel. So here's a couple things you're going to have to remember. Number one, when you're going to go through and get the iPhone 15 Pro Max, this phone is already giving you a much better panel. It's 6.7 inches, but it's an LTPO Super Retina XDR OLED display. So this already is slightly different, right? If you're looking at a panel, you're looking at a phone screen, that one is going to be better because it is an LTPO display, but also it's 120 Hertz as well. So that right there is already another big advantage for this type of phone too. So if you're about to go through and pick up some sort of other type of device from that standpoint, you are already getting a better panel, but also the other big thing here too is that it's actually 120 Hertz too. So already it's giving you some really cool stuff here. I'm really a big fan of that type of device. So in my personal opinion, if I'm picking up a device, I would definitely rather pick up something like that than, pick up something like an iPhone 15 Plus. So for that particular situation, that kind of covers it up there for the most part. Now, on top of that, another very big thing to keep in mind here too is the rest of the build quality. They're both built relatively kind of the same. The 15 Pro Max feels more expensive, but you're getting USB Type-C ports on the bottom of both of them. You're getting these frosted glass backs. You're also going to get through basically this dual camera setup on the iPhone 15 Plus, or you're getting this triple camera setup on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So there is some overlap here, but for the most part, if you're looking at both these phones, you are probably going to be getting a little bit of a better situation, I would say, on something like an iPhone 15 Pro Max than the iPhone 15 Plus. The 15 Pro Max definitely is going to be one of those types of devices for the most part that is going to feel like it is a little bit of a better type of device in some ways. And I feel like that is one of the bigger things to keep in mind there for the most part. So not the biggest deal, but another one of those small things to keep in mind. So that kind of covers it up from that side. Now, when it comes down to the camera side, this is another one of those really big things to keep in mind here. The iPhone 15 Plus, right, is going to be giving you this dual camera setup. So it's going to be a 48 megapixel wide and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, where the iPhone 15 Pro Max is giving you a 48 megapixel wide, 12 megapixel periscope telephoto lens, then a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. So just from that side in and of itself, you are probably going to be able to go through and once again get a little bit of a better type of layout inside of the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Because that phone is giving you that additional type of, camera lens, already it's going to be better, but the 15 Pro Max and the Pro Max in general are going to be giving you basically the best types of iPhone cameras that you can basically get, right? So I will tell you from that standpoint as well, when you're looking at these types of phones, you are definitely going to be getting a very good type of layout and a very good type of camera inside of something like an iPhone 15 Pro Max. And I do think that right there, it is one of the bigger types of advantages when you're looking at these types of phones. So, albeit it's maybe not the biggest deal in the world, you're still getting a really, really good type of layout inside of something like an iPhone 15 Pro Max when it kind of comes down to it. But the 15 Plus is still okay, but I would tell you if you're going to go through and pick up a phone, definitely the iPhone, 15 Pro Max is going to be the better one here. Now, on top of that, another very important thing to keep in mind here too is that when you're taking a look at these two types of devices, their software longevity is probably going to be roughly about the same, meaning that both these phones are probably going to be supported with software for roughly the same amount of time, which I always think is kind of interesting because if you're looking at these types of phones, you probably want to get the device that is going to be supported for a longer period of time. And between these ones, it's a little bit harder to tell. But if we're looking at these types of phones, I would probably say that the iPhone 15 Pro Max is going to last maybe a little bit longer than something like the iPhone, 15 Plus. They're both giving you fairly similar types of, chipsets inside, but the 15 Pro Max is giving you a little bit of a newer one. So because of that, you might look at that type of phone and feel like that phone is going to be giving you a little bit of an overall better type of experience. And that is kind of one of those things to keep in mind there as well. So like I said, it isn't necessarily the biggest deal in the world, but it could be one of those small things that you might end up seeing from that particular situation as well. So kind of keep that in mind when it kind of comes down to it. When it comes down to the performance, this is another one of those things to keep in mind here as well. So the iPhone 15 Plus is giving you the Apple A16 Bionic chip inside with 6 gigs of RAM, where the iPhone 15 Pro Max is giving you the Apple A17 Pro chipset inside with 8 gigs of RAM. So that right there as well is another one of those really big things to keep in mind here too. Because if you're planning on picking up a phone that's going to be giving you an overall better type of experience there, then something like the iPhone 15 Pro Max is probably going to be the one that is probably going to be the better one as far as I can tell. So again, maybe it's not the biggest deal in the world, but if you're planning on going through and picking up some sort of a device, that one is definitely going to be giving you a very, very good experience on the 15 Pro Max. But the 15 Plus is also still going to feel like a pretty fast, very capable phone at that as well. Like that phone is still going to be giving you like tons of power, tons of capability, and there's not really that much to hate on there inside of that type of device. But clearly, if you are wanting the phone that is going to be the faster type of device, then you will have to look at something like an iPhone, 15 Pro Max. But the 15 Plus, I think, is still good enough for the most part. And if you're going to go through and pick up a device, then, that's kind of how I feel about both those devices from that particular standpoint. So to kind of sum up this whole entire video, what I'll definitely tell you is that between both these phones, the iPhone 15 Pro Max is probably the one that I would recommend a majority of people to go and buy. That phone is going to be giving you a much better type of capability. It's going to be the more beautiful looking phone. It's going to give you a lot more stuff going on inside of that device than something like the iPhone 15 Pro Max, than the iPhone 15 Plus. But I would say for the most part with the iPhone 15 Plus, this is still also like a good phone. It still gives you a lot of stuff to kind of mess around inside of a device too, which is nice. But I would probably say that if you're going to go through and pick one up, it probably would make overall more sense to go ahead and buy a device that is going to be a little bit more supported with software for a longer period of time rather than these ones. But, it's kind of a small little thing. The 15 Pro Max is better, so I'd probably recommend just going through and buying that one when it comes down to it. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.